Do you believe animals can feel gratitude? Wait until you hear this story. If you're watching this video right now, you need to stay until the end because what happened will leave you speechless. And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any incredible stories like this one. I promise you won't regret it. The night that changed everything. It was one of those stormy nights that make you want to stay under the covers and never come out. Rain was pounding against the windows, thunder was shaking the walls, and Mark was coming home from work completely soaked. He worked as a nurse on night shifts and was exhausted after a 12-hour shift. But something caught his attention when he was about to enter his house. A faint meow, almost imperceptible, cut through the noise of the storm. Mark stopped, looked around, nothing. He was about to ignore it when he heard it again, this time more desperate. Following the sound, he found a soaked cardboard box near the dumpster. And inside it? You can probably guess, right? But wait, because the story gets even more intense. There was an orange kitten, completely wet, shivering from cold, with eyes still closed. It couldn't have been more than a few weeks old. And here's the first question that won't go away. Who abandons a defenseless kitten on a night like this? Unfortunately, this happens more than we imagine. The rescue no one expected. Mark didn't think twice. He grabbed the box, protected the kitten with his jacket, and ran inside the house. In the next few minutes, he did everything he could. Wrapped the little one in warm towels, tried to feed him warm milk using a syringe, and stayed up all night monitoring whether he would survive. "I'm not a cat person," Mark confessed later. "I was more of a dog guy, but when I looked at that little creature fighting for his life, something changed in me." If you're also team dog but love all animals, hit that like button now. During the first week, it was a battle. The kitten, whom Mark named Storm because of how they met, was weak and malnourished. Mark had to feed him every 3 hours as if he were a human baby. He cleaned, warmed, and cared for him with all his heart. And you know what's even more incredible? Storm began to bond with Mark in an amazing way. He followed him throughout the house, slept on his chest, and whenever Mark came home from work, he was greeted with intense purring. A bond that defies explanations. Days passed, and Storm grew. He became a robust orange cat with piercing green eyes and a unique personality. Unlike most cats we know who are independent and somewhat distant, Storm was attached to Mark. And who here also has that pet that won't leave you alone for a minute? Comment below. He slept in Mark's bed every night, always on the same side, curled up near his head. When Mark watched TV, Storm was on his lap. When Mark cooked, Storm watched from the counter. They were an inseparable duo. "People laughed at me," Mark said. "They said I'd become the crazy cat guy, but I didn't care. Storm saved me from a loneliness I didn't even know I was feeling." That phrase is heavy, isn't it? Sometimes we don't realize how the presence of an animal can fill voids we didn't even know existed. The night no one will ever forget. Now comes the part you've been waiting for. Exactly 1 month after the rescue, something extraordinary happened. It was 3 in the morning on a Wednesday. Mark was sound asleep after another exhausting shift. The house was in complete silence. Until Storm started meowing. But it wasn't a normal meow. It was a loud, desperate, urgent sound. The kind of sound you'd never heard before. Mark woke up confused. "Storm, what's wrong, kitty?" But Storm didn't stop. He jumped on Mark's chest, scratching lightly, meowing louder and louder, running toward the door and coming back. Something was wrong. Can you imagine what was happening? Leave it in the comments before continuing. Mark finally got up, still groggy from sleep. Storm ran to the kitchen, continuing that desperate meowing. And then Mark smelled it. The smell of gas. His heart raced. He ran to the stove and saw that one of the knobs had been left slightly open. Probably he himself had bumped it without noticing when he got home from work. Gas had been leaking for hours. With trembling hands, he shut off the valve, opened all the windows and doors, and left the house with Storm in his arms. He called the fire department immediately. The moment of truth. The firefighters confirmed it. A few more minutes and the gas concentration could have caused an explosion, or Mark could have died from intoxication in his sleep. Storm had saved his life. The kitten he had rescued from death exactly 4 weeks ago had returned the favor in the most unexpected way possible. If this story gave you chills like it gave us, don't forget to hit that like button. Doctors explained to Mark that cats have an extremely sensitive sense of smell, up to 14 times more powerful than humans. Storm detected the gas long before any alarm could have sounded. Mark didn't even have a gas detector in his house at the time. But here's the most fascinating part. Storm didn't just detect the danger. He understood he needed to wake Mark up. He had the emotional intelligence to know his human was at risk and acted to save him. Lessons that last forever. This story teaches us several important things. First, that animals are much more intelligent and sensitive than many people imagine. They create deep bonds, feel gratitude, and are capable of heroic acts. Second, that a small act of kindness can change everything. Mark could have ignored that meow in the storm. He was tired, wet, just wanting to sleep. But he chose to stop and help. And that choice saved 2 lives, Storm's that night and his own weeks later. How many times do we fail to help because we're tired or in a hurry? It's something to think about, right? Third, that adopting and rescuing animals is always a good idea. There are millions of abandoned animals waiting for a chance to show how much love they have to give. Storm was literally dying in a cardboard box. Today, he lives a happy life and is still Mark's guardian. What happened after? Today, 3 years after the rescue, Mark and Storm remain inseparable. Their story went viral on social media and inspired dozens of people to adopt rescued animals. Mark installed gas and smoke detectors throughout the house, which we all should have, by the way. He also started working as a volunteer at animal shelters on weekends, helping to rescue and care for other animals in situations of abandonment. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for more inspiring stories like this. And Storm? Well, he continues to be the same clingy and protective cat. Mark says that whenever he comes home late, Storm waits for him at the window. And every night, without exception, he sleeps next to his head like a feline guardian angel. People ask if I saved Storm, Mark reflects. But the truth is, we saved each other. He taught me about loyalty, gratitude, and unconditional love. And he gave me a purpose I didn't know I was looking for. Final reflection. This story makes us think about the role of animals in our lives. They're not just pets or companion animals. They're family members, companions, therapists, heroes. How many stories like Storm and Mark's happen every day and nobody finds out? How many animals are waiting for their chance to show how much love they have to give? And you, do you have an incredible story with your pet? Tell us in the comments. We really want to know. If you have an animal at home, give them a hug right now. Thank them for all the joy, companionship, and protection they offer you. And if you don't have one yet, maybe this is the time to consider opening the doors of your home and your heart. We never know when we'll need a little 4-legged hero by our side. Don't forget, like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share this story with someone who loves animals as much as you do. See you in the next video with more stories that will move and inspire you. Until then, take good care of your pets They take care of you more than you imagine.